Ladies, gentlemen, and engines. After a lot of hard work, the Northwestern Railway has extended its services up to the town of Peel Godred. I'd like to thank the dedicated workers and engines that made this extension possible, and no small thanks to the railway's first electric engine, Harris, who will be taking those of you who wish to travel up this new line on the maiden voyage, and he will continue to serve as its passenger engine. Now, without further ado, I now declare the Peel Godred branch line open, announced the fat director. The crowd cheered. Harris looked at Edward. Do projects like this branch line typically last that long on this island? Well, not all projects involve building a massive viaduct, and none have been blasting a tunnel underneath the town. Aye, Neil and Clive mentioned only having to blast a few times each day to avoid any possible sinkholes. And there's good reason for that. During the construction of Henry's tunnel, the ground gave way, creating that cutting. Goodness. And it was a good thing Morgan had just brought some empty trucks into the tunnel. She was able to get the workmen out in time. It takes real skin to make moves like that. I'll try to remember to tell her well done next time she comes to inspect the branch. And I didn't know Henry had a tunnel. Not really. It was a nickname given to the Ballyhoo Tunnel after Henry stopped in it 3 years ago. Funny he's never mentioned that. Yes, it's an embarrassing memory for him, but his efforts to leave the tunnel and rescue the express is how he got his blue livery. Although, he is considering going back to green later this year. Probably a good thing. It's not easy telling him and Gordon apart. You're joking, right? I am. They look nothing alike, but I still find it funny that one passenger thought he was Gordon. Edward looked back at the passengers beginning to board Harris's coaches. And speaking of passengers, are you ready for your first true test? Of course, I can't let the director down. Edward chuckled. After stopping the runaway, Harris's confidence was at an all-time high. Take it easy and don't exert yourself. Don't worry, I will, and thank you. The passengers soon loaded into his coaches. The guard blew his whistle, and Harris started up the branch line. This wasn't his first run up the completed line, but it was the first with a fully loaded train behind him. Last time, Harris was able to enjoy the scenery, but now he had a job to do. The platforms were also busy at each station, making his train just as heavy. But he kept going, finally reaching Peel Godred with no mishaps. Oh, that wasn't so bad, he said to himself. For the next few days, Edward helped Harris run the branch line. The electric engine listened closely to any advice Edward had to give, and didn't disappoint. Although, when it came to goods trains, he wanted to take more than what was needed. One morning, Harris awoke to find Edward was already gone, and as if on point, his whistle was heard. A moment later, Edward and one of the Wellsworth and Sudbury engines arrived at the station with a goods train, and two strange green shapes, similar but smaller than Harris. His driver arrived and hopped into his cab, and he rolled over to the platform. Harris, I would like to introduce you to the new engines, but... Greetings, came one of them. Harris jumped. He wasn't expecting the mechanical voice. I have a feeling it's a joke, but they won't crack, sighed the blue engine. Anyways, we'll leave you with them. Try your best, and you've done great work on the branch line. Thank you, Edward. And the two engines left the station. Harris looked at the other two. Please confirm class of locomotive. Excuse me? The other engine said nothing. Okay then. I'm a Northeastern EE1. Express engine confirmed. The lead engine took off, and the others set off up the branch line with the goods train. Next stop, Peel Godred, it said as it left. Harris stared dumbfounded down the branch. Then he felt a bump. The first one had shunted his coaches behind him. Hold up, the first train isn't for another 45 minutes. But the engine didn't say anything and backed away. His driver sighed. I guess it doesn't hurt to wait at the platform. Harris agreed, and while waiting, Henry arrived to drop off passengers. Morning, Harris. I heard you got some new friends. Hard to say that. But before Henry could say anything, the other engine rolled up next to Harris. Please confirm class of locomotive. Henry was startled. Oh, come on, said Harris. He looked at the nameplate, which read, Sadie. Now listen, Sadie. What's this all about? Error. Please try again. Let me say something, and maybe that will satisfy her. Do as you wish. Henry looked at the smaller electric engine. I'm a Great Northern C1 and A1 hybrid. Processing. Class not found. And she rolled away. Henry was speechless. Unfortunately for Harris, he had to deal with this for the next few days. Any conversation he tried to have with the sisters was met with sarcastic responses. You look tired, Harris, observed Coldy one morning. I'm sure you met those two new engines. I have. Well, tried to. You got a small glimpse of how I feel then. I spent half the night trying to talk sense into them, but they wouldn't crack. Trust me, we all know what you're going through right now. How so? Just then, one of them passed through the station and on up the branch. I'll explain later, when you have the time. Does it have something to do with the fact I've never seen a number 1 on your railway? You could say that. Harris didn't like the tone in Coldy's voice, and turned his attention back to the main problem disappearing off into the distance. That's one thing I'll give them. They have commitment to their work. True. I'm sure they'll get tired of those voices soon. I hope. 3 days after they arrived, the two were preparing their trains when Henry arrived with his morning passengers, and out stepped the fat director. The other engines have been telling me about the way you've been speaking to them since you arrived, and I've got numerous complaints from the passengers. The two electric engines looked at each other, and for the first time, Sadie spoke with her normal voice. We're sorry, sir. We only wanted to have a little fun, sir, added her sister as Harris arrived at the platform. Well, this joke has gone on long enough. I was made aware of your cheeky behavior before I purchased you, but I never thought it'd go to this length to mess with your new colleagues. And from what I was told, you haven't even introduced yourselves to the others. I think it's time to start over. The two engines looked at Harris. We're sorry for all the annoyance we gave you these past few days. You already read my nameplate, but I'm Sadie. And I'm Sophia. And like Sadie was saying, we're truly sorry. We just wanted to get a laugh out of you. Well, I can't have these past couple days back. I'll accept your apologies. I'm Harris, and it's finally good to meet your real selves. But we'll still find a way to make you laugh, chuckled Sophia, until she saw the director's stern expression. After our jobs are done, of course. And you better stay focused, if the director allows you to deliver the power station's next delivery of equipment. Harris is correct. It's an important job that requires the utmost care. If you prove yourselves worthy, I might consider letting you take the next shipment. We will, laughed Sadie. Harris smiled. I must give you credit, though. That was a creative joke. The real credit goes to our sister and another electric engine for coming up with the idea. And we went along with it until everyone knew it was an act. Which is why we thought, why not give it one more shot, because no one here knows us. But don't worry, the truth willed out, and now we can move on with our work. The two electric engines were almost as good as their word. They took their trains without complaint, and the other engines were happy to finally have normal conversations with them. Even Henry, after Sadie apologized to him too. From time to time, however, they would snicker near Harris, making him wonder. Are you two planning something? What makes you say that? Sadie asked innocently. You know what I'm talking about. We don't know what you're talking about, Harris, chuckled Sophia. But for now, nothing came of it, and the three engines were happy together. Okay, this will be the last time.